probably may. California faces a massive budget crisis. Did you notice anything different while applying for fall classes? Maybe classes cost a bit more, maybe they were a bit too crowded, you couldn't really crash any courses, maybe you couldn't get the courses that you needed because they were cuts, or they're no longer offered. Well, that's all because of the budget crisis and the state cuts that they made to education. These cuts will hurt us in the long run because economic recovery requires an educated workforce to compete in the global economy. So these cuts will be detrimental in the long run. 700 million has already been cut from California community colleges, and that's the tip of the iceberg. The California Department of Education, in a June 2009 report, states that total billing was cut in a February budget compromise, and more cuts following have totaled 17 billion cut from schools in the past 2 years. California schools have always had to deal with money shortages, but nothing like $17 billion. As college students, this is especially relevant to us because we are the ones that are affected. First, I'm going to talk about the problem caused by these cuts. Second, I'm going to talk about the cause of these cuts, why they were enacted. And third, I'm going to talk about solutions and how you can localize your opposition to these cuts. So I'm going to start off by talking about the problems these cuts pose. The California Department of Finance has a $17 billion cut in the past 2 years. The students are victims, and the teachers also, because the teachers cannot give the adequate education that they deserve because of the lack of resources. An organization called Stand Up for Schools has been chronicling the effects of all these cuts. The effects are sizes have increased at all levels, schools have cut summer schools and winter session, schools have cut sports and arts and music classes and other non-essential classes. PE has been cut as well. Many school districts no longer offer transportation for students who need it, or maybe can't get to school on time because they live far away. And 20,000 educators have lost their jobs due to the cuts. The New York Times, on the November 20th issue, 2009, says that UC will have to increase tuition by 32%. Not only that, not only UCs are being affected, but California community colleges as well. An article in USA Today in August 2009 states that community college will also be hurt because there will be less classes to offer, teachers will have less time to deal with students and need help, fewer kinds of services will be offered, and other things that might affect it adversely. So now that we've discussed the problems, I'm going to talk about why these cuts were enacted. In an effort to balance the budget, many things were cut, but education was one of the hardest hit. Because legislators in Sacramento couldn't decide on whether to cut taxes, to increase taxes or cut services, then there was a whole gridlock in the legislation centers. So finally, Governor Schwarzenegger decided to take an executive action and make a compromise that cut $12 billion in February and more to come later on, totaling $17 billion. Many organizations were opposed to these cuts. Many rallies were made. I was at this one in San Diego State University. There was a lot of people there. I was sitting at the ground. And here's you probably can't see very well, but here's a graph of all the states with budget deficits, and California is by far, like 45 billion, by far the most. So that's why the cuts were made in the first place. Education Week, an article in Education Week, October 9, states that because the governor refused to increase taxes, they had to cut deeper into education than they normally would. And the American School Board Journal in July 2009 states that California has a habit of cutting education when it's in fiscal problems, but never nothing like this. This is unprecedented. It's really affecting our schools. And so now that I've talked about the cause of these cuts, I'm going to talk about maybe something we can do to maybe fight back a bit, make our voices heard. You can contact your local legislators. You can email or call. If you live in the 80s, there's 2 districts here in the valley for both Assembly and Senate. So if you live in the 80s district, Manel Perez is your assemblyman, and you should contact him by email or calling. And if you live in the 64th district, which is here in Palm Desert, your congressman, assemblyman will be Brian Nestan, which you can contact him as well by his webpage. And senators, state senators here in the 37th district, which is John Benoit, you can contact him via his email. And the 4th district, which is India, Michelle, further back over there, is Denise Chedney, which you can contact her website as well. You should find out where your districts are, and maybe if you're so inclined, you can go email them. And you can also go to many rallies. Well, they're not so much anymore, but a while back before they had many organization events, many rallies, protests in Sacramento and around campuses, UCs, SDCs, stuff like that. So I don't know if that's going on anymore, but you can check online and see if you want, and you can maybe join up, go wave signs and segment and stuff. So this morning I've gone over the problem of state education cuts, the cause of these cuts, and how to reach your state legislators to do something about them. I hope that this speech has given you a more complete image of what schools have to go through when they don't have adequate funding, and that we're the victims and eventually our children, because they're growing up in the state school system. It's not properly funded, they can't compete, they can't have the education they need to compete globally. And hopefully you contact your legislator, or maybe you won't, but that's up to you.